We are live. Here we go. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it. I'm here with Cory. Cory, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Cory Englehardt. I'm from Brick Township, New Jersey. Growing up on the Jersey Shore, always at the beach.
Nice.
Love creating. Love putting myself in harm's way. And a little bit of adrenaline.
Yeah.
Surfing, skiing, jumping off of cliffs, skateboarding, any of it. And yeah, so we're here in Sausalito, Mexico, hanging out with a bunch of biohacking hippies and the BioCulture team, and creating content and making new relationships with people like you and all the others we're surrounded by.
Nice. Well, yeah, let's jump into it. What's your number one goal this next year?
Number one goal this next year for me is really leveling up that personal brand, creating content and expressing myself authentically, I think is a big thing. And like being comfortable, being vulnerable on social media, kind of telling my story, telling my why much more, and cultivating a sense of freedom financially, agency and location and time as well, and do a lot of traveling. That's what the next year is looking like for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was a big shift for me. I was always like, I need to lock in, get a bunch of work done, make money, and then I can travel. But I realized when I started traveling, it was this huge perspective shift to where I'm like, oh, like the business that I'm currently in, I don't really like. Like traveling kind of forces you to evolve a little bit. You go through a lot of situations and gain a lot of new perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Like traveling itself dilates time.
Yeah,
I find it's like when you go and you hop on a plane and go to a foreign country where there's dirt roads and local people that have lived there all their lives in poverty, and you have so much life experience in such a short amount of time. So, I mean, it feels like weeks we've been here. We've been here for a couple days, you know?
Yeah, and we're here at basically a health retreat. On that note, what's the best health advice you've ever received?
The best health advice is take care of myself first before you start giving other people, and take back my time, I think is the biggest thing. Is like prioritize me, prioritize Cory, put that ahead of everybody else. And I think my health journey really started with me being, I was overweight in college playing Division I football, and like 260.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was like 260 pounds freshman year of college, and lost some weight over the years. And then senior year football ended, and like quickly intermittent fasting and switching the diet, lost like 40 pounds, and and ultimately finding myself through like meditation and self-discovery practices, and I think that and finding who I was, what I was passionate about, is more important than any eat this, eat that, move this way, move that way. It's like, no, like eat what feels good, move how it feels good, and like be yourself and express yourself, and like all the other pieces are gonna fall into place.
Yeah, it's almost like that intuitive sense on when you're eating something that a doctor might say it's good for you, but you kind of intuitively know I shouldn't be eating this. Changing that up, right? Listening to your body, which most people are so sick and distracted that they can't even tune into how their own body's feeling.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you've been here. Like, how has your body felt since you got out of America per se? And do you have any experience with that? Like, kind of tapping into more natural local foods and.
Oh, big time. I just moved out of San Diego and came down here to Mexico, and it's so much more natural. There's so much more nature. The food isn't all sprayed with pesticide. It's easy to go out and get good organic food, and it's not the price, in San Diego, to where it's just an insane living cost out there. So huge change in like my reality and just day-to-day experience being out here in Mexico.
Absolutely. So what made you make the move out here?
Say it was, I wanted to stay in San Diego, just kind of divine plan or something. Landlord came back, wanted to move in. So we had, like 24-hour, 48-hour notice to move, and we've been down to Mexico here a few times and decided this was probably the next best move.
Sweet. And you've been enjoying your time so far?
Yeah, it's awesome. And then doing these health retreats, you meet so many experts in their individual fields, whether it's, healing muscles or, fascial lines or deep tissue, et cetera, that, I feel like my evolution of understanding health as well as business and a whole range of different fields is growing so much faster than even in San Diego.
Mm-hmm. So what's been turning you on recently and learning about?
Right now, I'm really about just storytelling. You see this huge rise of like personal brands, and everyone's an influencer now. And I was always of the mindset that I needed to really like focus and like personal brand's a distraction. I can run paid ads to a great offer and scale a business that way. But then you see these people crushing it with a personal brand, and it's no small asset to build up a following on social media, right? It's like your modern day resume. So quick question for you. You were telling me before you were running some sort of agency and you were helping others with storytelling and videography. Can you tell me more about
so
that?
I have a video production company in New Jersey called Quantum Creations.
Yeah.
And essentially what we've been focusing on is creating social media and marketing and event coverage content for different clients, mainly based in New Jersey, but traveling across the U.S. and now here doing that type of content and really getting specific on like who I want to work with now and niching down and focusing specifically on people in this health and wellness field and people who want to put themselves first, right? And something I've been really focusing on with the business is working with people I would pay to work with, doing jobs I would pay to do.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
I mean, you put those pieces of the puzzle together and creates a pretty fulfilling life. But ultimately, the agency that I've been running has been all video production based. So I mean, these cameras that we have set up over here, this has been my bread and butter, doing interviews and testimonials and all sorts of content like that.
That's amazing. So you're telling me earlier that you're making this big shift from this agency and working on, telling everyone else's story to building your own personal brand and product. What's
Absolutely.
that path look like?
So that path right now is honestly, it's not a 180. It's more of just a slight fork in the road, turn in the road, getting really specific, like I said, on the people that I want to work with and how I want to approach that work and putting up boundaries and knowing what it is that I stand for. And not only telling those other people's stories, but telling my own. And I think there's a lot of value in being able to like tap into myself, like I said before, about like vulnerability and my story, my why, and share that with people. I think that's powerful. I mean, I'm a very creative person. I like to say I'm one of the most creative people that I know, and being able to share that gift with other people and in a form of like this that I've been working on, a little book, in my music. I have tons of songs that I've written. I haven't really released much, just sort of Instagram clips, and really like tapping into that and sharing that with the world, I think is that next step in the shift in it, and finding a balance between Cory as a person and a personal brand, and finding the balance between Quantum as well, which is Quantum Creations, the video production side of things.
Okay. That's awesome. So big shift into really focusing on more kind of your own brand and building that up, and then kind of setting this whole agency thing on the side.
Yeah, well, having it in conjunction with it, because I love helping other people tell their stories. Like I love sitting down with somebody like you, or coming here and asking questions to people like Dakota and Christian that are running BioCulture, and sitting down and talking with Troy Casey and like helping them share their story because it's profound and meaningful at the same time. So ultimately, I'd like to have a balance where like I can offer that, and like I enjoy doing that. That fulfills me. It's more along the lines of who I'm doing it with, which is why I'm here right now, ultimately. Absolutely.
And I ran into the same thing with my business. I niched down into so many different niches because that was the business advice I got from mentors. And most recently, this past 2 years, I've been doing a bunch of marketing for consumer apps. And I realized I don't really, enjoy working with people that, aren't necessarily pushing out the greatest product in the world, right? It's just kind of more get wealthy. It's a cool idea, but shifting into more health and wellness companies and people that I've been working with is kind of like working with people that see the world in a similar way that I view the world.
Yeah. And so what is that way you view the world?
You grow up, especially in the States, right? And nowadays most people are sick and unhealthy. So I kind of always felt that something was off. And then, diving more into research and health and wellness and all that, you realize that so many people are locked into this mindset and unhealthy patterns. So my question to you there is, when someone starts out a health journey, let's say they, see someone and they're like, all right, they're really healthy. I feel sick. I'm tired of feeling sick. What do you think's the biggest mistake that people really, when they're starting their health journey, make?
I would say that they do it physically.
Yeah.
The health journey doesn't start physically. Sure, you can, whatever. Work out all the time, eat the right stuff. Great, that's simple. That's on the physical plane. Figure out who you are mentally and spiritually.
Yeah.
Before you try and tap into the physical. Because if it doesn't stick, people go on The Biggest Loser and then get fat afterwards. So like figure out who you are, what makes you tick, And ultimately, those other pieces come together.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of those ideas and beliefs about who we are aren't our own beliefs and ideas. They're kind of pushed onto us and then we've adopted. So a lot of people don't really know who they are, right? And they're just kind of a lot of programmed conditions and beliefs. Now, on your health journey, I mean, it's been how many years since you played college football?
2022 was the last season I played.
Okay. And then you lost a whole ton of weight after that?
For like 40 pounds.
Wow.
And then, and then I started gaining some weight again because I overcorrected, you know, like you're
Yeah.
overweight and then you go get underweight and then you got to find your way back to a healthy balance. And right now I feel like the healthiest I ever have. I mean, 210 pounds doing backflips and handstands
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
running a marathon and
Big time.
and all that stuff. So it's like I feel super healthy right now, and just because I got my mind right. Honestly, I've got in touch with myself. I figured out who Cory is and what I'm passionate about, what I love to, what I intend on creating in life, and that's the physical stuff. Honestly, came after it. It wasn't. It's a long process, and I'm sure you probably have experience with that as well.
Yeah, big time. And you were mentioning earlier and showing us this journal of all of this art that you're drawing as well as poetry. And one thing really stood out. You had a drawing of an old pair of shoes and you're like, this is the, our beliefs almost, right? Like it's an old pair of shoes and sometimes they get worn out. You got to like replace them and figure out who you really are.
Absolutely. We have all these labels and judgments we put on ourselves, on the world, and we get so attached to them.
Big time.
Right? Like we get so attached to like what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about the world, right? We have these things we tell ourselves, these stories that are just conditioned in our mind. I am this way, right? Like, or whatever it be. Give me a label that you may have about yourself. Like what's something that you consider yourself to be? Healthy. Awesome. So maybe it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
So that's a story that you tell yourself now.
Yeah.
I am healthy, right? So that cultivates from the mental into the physical. Now you are healthy. As soon as you begin to believe that. If you believe I'm overweight, I can't eat right. If you believe, oh, I'm not creative. You know how many people tell me that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not creative.
Right.
Fuck yeah, you are. Like you're literally
Exactly.
you're a creative being. Like and changing these stories that we have allows you to create whatever you want in life. And you put the I am in front of it, right?
Yeah, and even bigger than that, I know that whole Alex Hormozy thing on like, we don't change by saying the I am affirmations in the mirror, whatever it is. We do it by building an undeniable stack of evidence through work on who we are. And, I'm definitely in alignment with that. And I liked what Christian said a lot on not saying like I am healthy or whatever, but why am I healthy? Why is money flowing to me? And then it's, you're building reasons and beliefs, which is a lot deeper than just saying I am this way.
Totally, because you could say I am healthy, I am abundant till you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
But until you take action and have a vision and figure out why that's your purpose, why you're that way, those pieces don't come together. It's not just if you say I am, it's just it's the same as the label everything else is, and you're not putting in that action, and it's really about taking all that is up in your mind. I like to say the mental plane, right?
Yeah.
Everything that's all your ideas, you're
thoughts.
you're pulling them out, right?
Yeah.
And like taking that from the mental and putting it into the physical. It takes physical effort. It takes
Yeah.
energy. It takes fueling your body right. And that's the whole idea, health and wellness, and eating healthy, living healthy, moving healthy, thinking healthy, so you can take whatever from that mental plane and put it into reality with no limitation.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people, have so many self-limiting beliefs that they never look at and really examine and say, why do I think this way? Is it from parents? Is it conditioning? And then they carry these weights their entire life and never shed them. So people that do end up growing and evolving, they re-examine themselves and they like kill their old version of themselves and build themselves up into a new version. A lot of people, after high school or whatever, they just kind of stay the same person for the next 80 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't need to kill that old version. I think I think a big part of this whole journey too is learning to love who you were, so that you can be who you are now in this moment, like perfectly, and surrender to that past self that you had, and like embrace that trauma, embrace that hurt and pain that you had in the past, and not just push it deep down because it's still in there if you don't process it.
Big time. And I really like Jungian philosophy and like wisdom. He was a psychologist, Carl Jung. I'm sure you're familiar. But he talks about, we don't become enlightened by just like looking up the light and, saying like all these positive things, but by looking at the darkness, in our shadow and then making it known, right? To where a lot of spiritual people have a very like bad dark side and they just look away from it. And then it, expresses itself in some way. Whereas if you actually like look and you're like, oh, I'm kind of like judgmental and mean or X, Y, and Z. And then why am I like that? And then really drilling into that and doing that inner work is foundational. And I really like what you said on like the health journey doesn't start as much as like physical, as much as like mental and changing your thoughts and your beliefs and then being consistent with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's something that came to me, and we were sitting next to each other in the Temazcal ceremony, and something that really stuck out to me that, what was his name?
Temazcal, the shaman?
Yeah.
The shaman. It's an interesting name. I don't think
I forget. But something interesting he brought up during the Temazcal ceremony was there is light in the darkness. Look at the moon in the sky, and just thinking about that and leaning into that darkness and accepting and embracing and appreciating that darkness that's there that's a big part of the journey at the same time.
Absolutely. What do you think is the biggest opportunity in front of you this next year?
I think the biggest opportunity in front of me is leveraging relationships.
Yeah.
I think really tapping into my unique skill of communication and expressing myself authentically and cultivating positive relationships with amazing people all over the planet, and not just being limited to where I am, but cultivating these relationships and really tapping into that and seeing these opportunities that align, putting myself in the unknown. I mean, if either of us didn't put ourselves in these unknown scenarios for stuff to occur and happen, right? Like we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah,
and
it's very easy to be comfortable and stay at home and just work every day and do X, Y, and Z and get caught in the monotonous routine. But until you actually go out and, push yourself into the unknown, go travel, say yes to a new business opportunity or relationship, you're not really putting yourself in a place to grow.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I know we wanted to keep this short. What's one thing that you'd like to wrap it up on? Like, what's been something on your mind that you've really gotten clear on in the last couple of days? Because I know this place seems to be a portal in Dakota and Sedona. We're saying it when we showed up. Like, I've really gotten a sense of clarity on like what the next actionable steps are for me. And what would you say some of those steps may be for you following up this retreat?
Yeah, definitely a huge opportunity in, just all the collaborations, right? You hear that cliche saying your network is your net worth, but really here when you're around such vital and healthy people, you learn so much. And it's just everyone that's knows so much about health is coming to the same place. So it's a huge opportunity to learn. So this next big opportunities for me is to continue to develop skills and learn, as well as collaborate and find some great, people to work with, which I've done down here. And on top of that, a big shift, maybe not in the past few days, but in the past year, I always kind of put money on a pedestal, right? I wanted to create that super successful business that did well. And by doing that, it kind of made business a lot harder. Whereas if you kick money off a pedestal and you put it as your purpose and your mission, and you have a greater driving force than just making money, you're going to be so much more successful, which is where I see all these entrepreneurs, go wrong. They're like, oh, I want to make 100K months and make all this money. One, you have to earn your stripes and do the work and go and, maybe start an agency or do the work that you don't like to do to learn the skills. But you can't have money as like the goal, right? There's a good book by the head coach of the Patriots called The Score Takes Care of Itself. And basically the whole concept is like, don't look at the scoreboard. Like that's just a number and it's going to happen. And it's at the end of the day, it's yes, how you performed, but focus on your actions and what you can do. To whereas too many people are obsessed with that number. Yeah,
absolutely. Have a purpose and the money finds you. I mean, I think for a while when I had started my business, it was a money sign. Like, let's hit a 10K month. Let's keep it rolling. Let's stack on new clients, sales, right? But
more and more.
Exactly. But what about me, right?
Yeah.
Like what do I want? If I could wake up every day and do what I wanted to do, what would I do? And if I start doing that, the money's going to stack up because I love what I'm doing, right? Yeah. I'm cultivating a sense of abundance for myself, and money finds me, right? Like I'm a magnet all the time, and
Yeah.
in a sense of affluence, right? Like
Yeah.
flowing through me and keeping a well-oiled machine where energy is not just coming to me in abundance, but it's flowing through me in abundance. And I put
Exactly.
my money out in the world, and I spend it and I share it, and it's a sense of the money is not going to make you happy. I mean, you could keep
Yeah.
making $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $1 million a year. There's plenty of celebrities that kill themselves, and they're rich.
Absolutely, and that's what I feel really moving down to Mexico. Knew a ton of really wealthy people in San Diego, and I'm like, whoa, my lifestyle and day to day and what I do is my life's so much wealthier, and I don't want to say more enjoyable. Well, I definitely think it is more enjoyable, but so many people have money and it's their North Goal, and they attach all their significance and who they are to how much money they make. To where it's not necessarily, yes, it's a big part of life, but it doesn't make up your whole identity. To where too many people are getting way too attached to it.
Totally.
Hence these businesses that hurt the world, these products just being pushed out there, these coaches that coach coaches that coach coaches, and it's all for money. It's a money grab. And at the end of the day, you're going to die in 80 years or whatever it is. What do you want to be known for? Is it making a ton of money and you had a nice house and a nice car and you flew around a lot and you got a jet? Or did you actually make a significant impact on the world?
Totally. Be a service, right? I'm a big, I think this is the last thing I'll leave us with. Like, I'm a big proponent of Ram Dass.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Ram Dass.
Yeah.
The name quite literally means God's servant, right?
Yeah.
Be of service to the world. Be selfless. Serve the world. And something that kind of caught my eye is like using that as an affirmation for myself. Like, I am Ram Dass. I am God's servant, as are you, as are we all. And all on this journey of health and wellness and finding ourselves and being that spark and light that we want to see in the world, and helping other people cultivate that at the same time. And this community that BioCulture has created in Mexico, and cultivating this sense of community and cultivating this sense of positivity and a vision for the future that we can leave a better planet, a more sustainable and loving, happy, healthy planet for our children. Like, that's the big picture.
Well, we'll end it on a strong note.
Jack, pleasure.
I appreciate it, Cory. Till next time.
That was good.